My husband had slept with all my colleagues and friends. I pretended not to see anything as usual. I went for a prenatal checkup with my 9-month pregnant belly until one day on the way to my checkup, his new lover ran me over with her car. I was bleeding profusely and begged him to take me to the hospital. But Cashin looked at me with utter disdain and said, "Leona, since when did you learn to fake an accident? Don't think that putting on an act will make me care about you even if you die right in front of me. I wouldn't spare you a second glance." With that, Cashin left with his new lover, not looking back. By the time I was rushed to the hospital, the child in my womb had already suffocated to death. Even my grandmother, unable to bear the shock, suffered a heart attack and passed away. When I woke up, I stared blankly at Cashin's grandfather Thomas Harland and said, "Let me go whatever debt I owed your family. I've repaid it with my life." As I spoke, my phone buzzed incessantly with incoming messages, one after another. They were all photos of Cashin and his new lover, Tessa. While I was on the brink of death from a difficult labor, they had spent the night in a 5-star hotel and tangled until dawn. Tessa, covered in love bites, leaned into Cassian's arms, her smile full of provocation, unaware of the truth. Thomas still wanted to make one last effort. He placed a share transfer agreement in front of me. "Leona, Cassian isn't a bad person at heart. You've loved him for so many years. Why not give him another chance? As long as I'm here, no one can shake your position as Mrs. Harland." I didn't respond. Instead, I casually opened a video message sent by Tessa at once. The sounds of their entanglement echoed through the hospital room. Gasping for breath, Tessa's voice rang out. "Cassian, you really don't feel the slightest bit of guilt leaving Leona on the street like that?" Cassian, nibbling at Tessa's neck, murmured with his eyes, hazy with desire. "What's there to feel guilty about? The one I love most is you. Even if Leona gives birth, she's nothing compared to you." The vulgar sounds filled the room, making Thomas's veins bulge in fury. "After Alonza," he finally conceded, "the Harlan family has made you suffer. I'll handle the divorce in 7 days. I promise you'll be free." As for your grandmother and child's funeral arrangements, as he spoke, the nurse had already brought the lifeless child into the room. It was as if even the heavens couldn't bear to see me waste away in this marriage any longer. So they took this child's breath away. The moment he was born, I turned my head away, forcing myself to calm my emotions. "Bury the child in the Harlan family cemetery. I'll take my grandmother's ashes with me." Thomas nodded painfully. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have forced you to stay in the Harlan family. Go. You deserve a much bigger world with that." He hunched over, holding the lifeless child in his arms as he walked away. The tears I had held back for so long finally spilled over as a bitter flood of emotions surged through me. My marriage to Cashin had been arranged single-handedly by Thomas. He needed someone to keep Cashin in check while I needed someone to pay for my grandmother's expensive medical bills. So we struck a deal. I quit my job and married Cashin after the wedding. I learned about the tragic loss of his parents when he was young. I saw with my own eyes how, in the dead of night, he would cry out for his mother in his sleep. For a moment, two broken souls resonated with each other. I wanted to heal Cassian's wounded heart and build a happy family with him to fulfill my duty as a wife. I dedicated myself to mastering the art of cooking, striving to recreate the taste of his mother's dishes. I traveled far and wide, meticulously recreating the little wooden cabin from his childhood memories, to satisfy his desires. I even learned every trick in the bedroom. I thought we were building a happy future together. But on our wedding anniversary, he brazenly took my best friend to a hotel. I lost control, running there in a frenzy to confront him. Cash sneered, tossing the contract between me and Thomas in my face. "Leona, what do you think you are? You just played along for a few days and really thought you were Mrs. Harland. You're just a dog. My grandfather bought what, right? Do you have to question me? If you dare make me unhappy, I'll have them stop your grandmother's treatment." After that, Cashin only became worse, tiring of social media influencers and celebrities. He turned his attention to my friends relentlessly, testing my limits. On one side was my grandmother, who desperately needed medical treatment. On the other was a marriage that had long rotted beyond repair. I was constantly being pulled in both directions, teetering on the edge of collapse. One day, in a daze, I lost my footing and tumbled down the stairs only to discover that I was pregnant. Thomas, near desperation, pleaded with me, "Leona, please keep this child. He might be the turning point in your marriage. If Cassian still refuses to change after the baby is born, I promise I won't force you anymore." With a heart full of conflicting emotions, I chose to agree. I never imagined that despite all my efforts, I would fail to keep even a single one of my grandmother, my child, my marriage, and my love. Slowly, I wiped away the tears from the corner of my eyes and looked up at the gray, overcast sky outside the window. Perhaps the only consolation was that both Cashin and I had finally gained our freedom. Lost in thought, my phone suddenly rang. It was Cashin. "Leona, did you go whining to Grandpa again? Tessa and I were finally having some alone time and you just had to ruin it. I'm warning you, if you dare do this again, I'll cut off your card. In the past, I would have humbly apologized to Cashin, desperately explaining myself. I used to do everything I could to earn his forgiveness, but now I simply responded, expressionless, do as you wish. Cashin was momentarily surprised by my indifference, but he quickly let out a cold laugh. I heard the child was born. No wonder you suddenly have more confidence when you speak. But don't forget, I am the heir of the Harlan family as long as you remain in this house. I have countless ways to make your life miserable. I closed my eyes. I knew all too well what Cashin was capable of. The first time I caught him cheating, I naively went to Thomas, hoping he would uphold justice. Instead, what I got in return was Cashin's ruthless retaliation. Using my grandmother as leverage, he forced me to kneel on the freezing balcony of our bedroom over and over again, slapping myself that night. The sounds of his pleasure with his mistress echoed endlessly with my face swollen from slaps and my body frozen numb. I was eventually sent to the hospital with frostbite. The last shred of sincerity I had for him vanished into the endless snowfall. From that moment on, no matter how cruel or outrageous Cassian's actions were, I pretended not to see. I endured his humiliation and torment in silence, doing everything I could to hold on to the title of Mrs. Harlan. But now my grandmother was gone. My child couldn't be saved. This empty, lifeless marriage had finally reached its rightful end. Without hesitation, I coldly hung up the phone. Then I got up and contacted a friend at the funeral home to schedule the cremation. When I returned to the hospital room, I saw Cassian standing at the door. He frowned at me before letting out a mocking laugh. "Why aren't you playing the victim anymore? It seems like you're in great shape running around right after giving birth. Do you not need for postpartum recovery? Huh? I'm planning to bring Tessa to live in the villa. She's young, delicate, and doesn't know how to do housework. So go ahead and get your discharge papers sorted. You can come back and be our maid." As he spoke, Cashin leaned in closer. His face twisted in a cruel smile. "The sight of you in pain is the best aphrodisiac for me." He stared at me intently, hoping to see me break down, to watch me crumble under his words, but I remained utterly calm and so numb that even pain felt distant. Finding it boring, Cashin turned to a passing nurse and blocked her path. "Was the baby a boy or a girl? Bring it over. I want to see." The young nurse looked panicked. I sighed helplessly. Grandpa took the baby away. Cassian seemed like he wanted to say more, but just then his phone rang. As soon as he answered, his expression changed drastically. The next moment he slapped me hard across the face. "Leona, what did you do to Tessa? If anything happens to her, I will never forgive you." Already weak, I stumbled from the force of the slap, crashing into the railing behind me. The nurse Hurley stepped forward to support me. "Mr. Harlan, she just gave birth. If you keep this up, you'll kill her." But Cassian acted as if he hadn't heard a word without a second glance at me. He rushed out, completely consumed by his concern for Tessa. The nurse looked at me with sympathy, but my pale face remained expressionless. It was as if 7 years of torment had drained every last drop of emotion from me. After examining me, the doctor advised me to rest. I finally understood why Cashin was so furious. The child was gone. Thomas was overwhelmed with grief and anger, and he ordered a complete bent on Tessa across the entire internet. Tessa mistakenly thought it was my revenge. She exaggerated the situation and went to Cashin to complain. That was why Cashin laid hands on me. But that wasn't all. Cashin revoked my shareholder status in the Harlan Group and replaced me with Tessa to please her. He even bought a gold mine and named it after her. During an interview, Tessa proudly fluted the diamond ring on her hand. I never considered myself a homewrecker. If a woman can't hold on to her husband's heart, she deserves to be left alone. Besides, the current Mrs. Harlan only married into the Harlan family for money, but I'm different. I truly love Cashin with all my heart. The comments were sharply divided. A group of brainless fanatic fans tagged my account, hurling all kinds of insults and demands for me to step aside. For Tessa, I looked at it all, feeling only ridicule after so many years. Cassian's tricks to woo women hadn't changed one bit back then. He did the same to me when he found out that I came from a poor family and had never celebrated a birthday. He gave me 20 gifts on my 20th birthday, from a gold locket for a 1-year-old to a villa for a 20-year-old. He said it was to make up for the hardships I had endured over the past 20 years. I still remember that night under the Vasari sky. He held my hand and said, "Leona, I was raised by my grandfather. After losing my parents at a young age, I understand your feelings. From now on, I will treat your grandmother like my own and build the happiest family with you." I melted in his deep, affectionate gaze, naively believing that I had found someone to spend my life with. But later, when the novelty wore off, Cashin quickly moved on to someone new. During one of his dates, he left me behind on a mountain just to deliver flowers to his lover. That day, I walked hundreds of kilometers down the mountain alone. My feet were blistered and bleeding, and my calves bore scars that would never fade. I should have realized then this man was selfish and fickle, never one to settle for anyone. That so-called contract was merely his excuse to justify his infidelity. Thinking of this, I left a comment under Tessa's video.